We're back. So, geez, it's been about 2 weeks now that we saw The Incredibles, and I think this is about the right time for a spoiler review because people probably have seen it by now if they've seen it.
If not, stop this video, and this is your
Yeah.
only warning.
Where's my
Danger, danger.
right? I think yeah, because I think I've still got it here from last time we tried to do this. Um, that movie set some serious records for opening weekend. Um, do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? Um, Here we go. Incredibles 2. So, according to this, so far the movie has made almost $500 million on a $200 million budget. That's this looks like this movie might break 600 million. I mean they it's interesting because like we were talking about Solo, we like the movie, but it basically is projected to lose money, and it's is
Well, it's like, once again, like if they didn't do the reshoots,
yeah, no.
it would have definitely been pretty fine as like budget wise.
Yeah.
But I really do wonder like how much of a potential like train wreck Solo might have actually been.
I don't know, but I honestly, I mean, I've noticed for a long time that when you have a blockbuster movie, and then every other like when Avengers comes out, none of the other movies are making money because everybody's going to see Avengers,
Right.
and
Well,
it doesn't
I mean, it
it
is that
doesn't
classic thing of, the majority of individuals, you know, they're either going to be movie buffs where they go to every single movie,
yeah.
or they're going to be picking and choosing the ones where it's like, in theater, I'm going to support this. And
Well,
then a lot of other individuals are going to be like, you know what, I can wait until it, becomes DVD, Blu-ray,
well, and
whatever.
and that was actually one of like the key point. This has nothing to do. Why do we always review something else than the movie? Anyways, but like
Stay
no,
on topic.
right? But no, but that's like the thing is like you had three blockbuster movies in 1 month,
Right.
and the third one failed, and it's like, well, sure, okay, so we have Avengers, which backed up a week because they didn't want to compete with Deadpool, and what a good idea that was. Then you have Deadpool 2 weeks later, and then the next weekend we have Solo. So in the course of 30 days, you have four movies. The budget of the average moviegoer just can't absorb that.
Right.
You've got. I mean, if you're going by yourself, because you and I went, whatever, that's not a big deal. But like, if you've got three kids,
Oh yeah.
they want to go see Avengers now, and like you're basically dropping what $50, and then you've got to obviously you'll go with your wife to see Deadpool and drop the kids at the babysitter, but then you've got Solo, which is totally kid friendly. Couple weeks later, after Avengers, now you've got basically what 120, $130. That doesn't even include snacks. Kids, you got to feed the kids.
Right.
You could drop $200 in
Oh
a
yeah.
month taking kids to the movies. Not many middle class families can afford that.
No, I totally get it. It's like, so, I mean, it's kind of that expectation of one of the factors that I think is really interesting about movies is
Yeah.
once again that level of the merchandising, the T-shirts,
Where the real money from the movie is made.
yeah, totally. Merchandising.
Well,
And, it's like those factors aren't part of like what, like when you were checking your phone
Yeah.
on Wikipedia,
Mhm.
those things aren't equivalent into it. So it's
I
like
mean,
when these people say like, oh my gosh, this movie bombed, but it's like, dude, that merchandising, saved and gave it life and made it Frankenstein's monster and made it, rampage across the planet.
So today's the 26th, right?
Mm-hmm.
The release date was basically the 15th in the United States, so it's been out for essentially 10 days, right? As far as like international, like nationwide release, The Incredibles are on everything. It would not surprise me if Disney.
Oh, I imagine you probably saw the Lego Incredibles.
No.
No? Really?
Where
I'm
do I get
surprised.
that? No, but no, but see, the thing is,
Hashtag not sponsored.
yeah,
Well,
right. It would not surprise me if there's another $400 million already made in merchandising
Oh,
already.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
And
it's that level where it's like when everybody says, all this doom and gloom about Solo, but it's like you go to Target, you go to
oh, they are
Fred
making
Meyer's, you go
money.
to
Like
yeah,
yeah, that movie is profitable. It just wasn't ticket sales.
right.
And well, the thing is, ticket sales are what pays back the investors, not the toys.
No, and I
But
get that. I mean,
and
it's
and
that level where it's like these individuals want to get their money back, and
yeah,
that's why they care about it. But it's like overall product wise, it's
yeah.
like there's money.
Speaking
There's
of speaking of caring,
yeah,
anybody that tuned in right now is not getting what they tuned in for.
right.
So,
Going back onto topic,
did you like The Incredibles 2?
yeah, I thought it was a very cute family film.
I liked it too. It's interesting. For me, I really enjoyed the movie, but I don't know if it's because we already knew these characters. Like, because like The Incredibles was like the original was just a wonderful surprise. You're like, oh, this looks like a great movie. Let's go see a superhero movie back before we had the superhero movies, and then suddenly it's like, what's all this? And there wasn't any of that because you knew the characters, you knew what was going on. I mean, there were some surprises, kind of reverse surprises for me, but like it's kind of like with Deadpool 2, where I felt that it was exactly as good as the original. I don't feel like it was a better movie, but I do feel like it was an excellent part 1 and 2 because the movie basically picks up immediately after the end of the first one. It's like it literally like you watch the first movie, then you can turn on the DVD and go to the next one.
Yeah.
You know, however, I do, and now I have now that being said, I wasn't disappointed. I have no actual criticisms, though I did find two mistakes in the movie, which we'll get to in our spoiler review. If you want to find out what those are, keep watching.
Right.
But they weren't egregious. They weren't terrible. It's like it didn't. It was just one of those things. Like I spotted it, but I didn't. It didn't ruin my interest in my fun. Right. How about you? What's your take on all that stuff?
Um, overall movie thinking about it, I liked how in the movie experience, I liked how that they had that little animated film that Pixar
Yeah.
did.
Right at the beginning. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it reminded me of like one of their other before movies where
The one with the dog.
the one with the dog,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's all done in visuals
Mhm.
and very similar to the dog. It's done in food. And,
I actually liked that dog one. I can't remember what movie it was, but it was maybe for the Lego movie where the guy got the girlfriend and then the dog kept
getting healthier food.
right. And
And
I have a dog here at this house where we record this video, and that dog gets lots of snacks from me, and I could imagine somebody relating to that, quite well. I mean that, I love how the dog suddenly became best friends with the kid later, but
but to go on to this movie, and the reason of
Yeah.
bringing it up is like, you know, he- um, being nearly 40, it's like I didn't experience movies that came down in the beginning of the 20th century where they did stuff like that with Betty Boop and various other characters where there was a cartoon film before the actual film.
I kind of remember some movies like that, but it wasn't very common. Like it did happen occasionally when I was a kid.
Okay, I don't remember it in my childhood.
Yeah, but like you didn't go to the Goonies and get a
Right.
movie before it. I think because like I'm just one generation ahead of you, and I think that it was just ending when I was a kid, where they were starting to they were beginning to stop doing it. Beginning to stop. That sounds funny,
Yeah.
but because I can kind of remember stuff like that, but yeah.
Let's see, as movie wise of production, the way that art design, I definitely really enjoyed it. It really does feel like the majority of it sets in kind of a 1950s, 1960s kind of world.
Well, I think it's
with its
timeless.
own. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like certain elements. It's like you had art elements that were very iconic to those time periods, but at the same time, like Big Hero 6, it did its own thing. And I think
kind of
that's what kind of makes it timeless.
kind of like the house where they end up going to live feels like it could have come from the Venture Brothers.
Yeah, no, I can see that now.
But not with the weird wallpaper. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because like the one of the hallmarks of the style of the first movie was that it definitely felt like a James Bond movie.
Yes.
Like they had a lot of similar music. The technology is very similar. It's like there's elements that are familiar stylistically to other things that you like, but yet it isn't really set in any one particular time period. And
Well, I think it's that level of what a true superhero world would actually be.
Yeah.
It would have such a level of, yeah, it has familiarity because obviously it deviates from what our world would do and how it would
that's
react.
one of my primary criticisms of Marvel and DC. And I
Yeah.
don't want to get into a big thing about it, but it's like in a world where people like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Hank Pym, like all like Hank McCoy. I'm not sure the super geniuses are at DC necessarily, but like in a world where these people exist, where Tony Stark is making money off his inventions, you wouldn't hoard it. It would be sold to everybody. And it's kind of like with the airplane. Once one person does it, everybody does it. Like, flight was impossible until it wasn't. And then within a matter of like 10 years, everybody was doing it. Probably less, and then like, oh, you couldn't break the sound barrier. And then everybody's doing it. You invent the iPhone. Well, the iPod then became the iPhone, right? And now everybody's doing it. Right. It's just in an environment where Tony Stark exists, the tech, we should already have people on the moon, like colonies in space.
It's like technological advancements. I mean, there's stuff that Reed Richard does that benefits the superhuman community, but at the same time, like the average person on the street.
Yeah.
Feels like here's where the superheroes are, and everybody else is kind of like, okay, they're just in the background.
Exactly.
And I think the point of like bringing this up is because the movie feels like everybody actually exists together. It doesn't feel like, okay, during like an X-Men run where you have events going on with mutants, and then because the way that comics are created, that takes months, years, and whatnot to produce.
And they have the weird sliding time scale
right.
where it's always, it just happened 5 years ago.
Yes, and you have like, here, this politician that existed from this time period now gone, and here's another one because like...
we go through presidents really fast.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing is like The Incredibles, first off, by the way, you don't feel like the movie took place 14 years, like there's a 14-year gap. I mean, the actors were totally on point, but the world itself clearly is benefiting from the advanced technology of super geniuses, but yet it still looks familiar. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it, but I think
you could say that it's a great, Fantastic Four movie.
There's incredible things we could say, but yeah, that is true. Like the first one was the best Fantastic Four movie ever made, and this is the second best. I mean, no, this is, it's kind of funny. I actually had a copy of the first one. I loaned it to my friend's kid, friend being Jeff, and then about 2 weeks later, my copy disappeared, and Jeff apparently had bought a copy at the store. And I'm starting to think that maybe Jeff just forgot and thought he bought it. That my copy's the one on the shelf for their house. But I definitely need to get both those movies now because I kind of want to
have it as part of it.
Yeah, well, because I wasn't able to watch the first one before going to see the second one. I normally would have.
Right.
But hey, spoiler warning. This is time where if you haven't seen the movie and why the hell not, you should tune out. And we're going to start talking about serious spoilers. The first one, not a spoiler, but so we like Big Hero 6. And Big Hero 6 is clearly its own thing, but it does feel like both both movies could take place in the same universe. And it's actually weird that we didn't get more Big Hero 6 movies. Maybe we will in another 12 years. But
Well, it's like right now, Disney DX
XD?
has it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Them too.
Yeah.
They have a animated series going on.
Right, you mentioned that. But I think that you could probably, I think Big Hero 6 and The Incredibles should be part of the same shared universe. In fact, I've actually heard that Samuel L. Jackson is campaigning to do a Frozone movie, which, why not? We can't wait another 14 years. Some of those actors won't make it. I don't think Craig T. Nelson will be acting in like it. See, it's kind of like James Earl Jones, right? When they had him back to do Darth Vader, they should have got somebody else because James Earl Jones sounded like an 80-year-old man when he did his cameos in Rogue One, and you don't want the actors to sound old and tired. He's still James Earl Jones. He has the presence, but it's like he couldn't do Darth Vader anymore, right? And if we wait another 14 years, is Craig T. Nelson even going to still be alive? But those okay. So I found two mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two very glaring mistakes. So at least to me, okay. In the first one, right, it ends with the FBI guy who is taking the babysitter and doing the whammy on the babysitter, right? Now, while they're off having their adventure, the Jack, the baby, his powers kick in, and he's got apparently 18 powers, as it turns out.
I've heard 17 to 22.
Edna Mode said 18.
Oh, okay.
So, but this kid starts manifesting all these powers. So apparently, we find out that sometimes kids manifest multiple powers before they settle on what they're going to have. He's got 18. He develops all these abilities, like he bursts into flames, turns into the monster, shoots I-beams, whatever, and the babysitter's freaking out. Then they erase her memory of the whole thing, right? Now, and clearly between the ending of the first movie and the scene with the Underminer, right, there's been some weeks or months that have gone by, right?
Right.
So how is it that kid didn't show off his powers again? That couldn't have just been a one-off. And wouldn't the FBI dude have told the parents, hey man, your kid has superpowers? It doesn't make sense that the parents wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Or that the kid wouldn't have done it again. And then they only then and now they find out, in the next film. But it's just there's a continuity error and they don't address it. It's
Yeah, and I wonder if that's a writing mistake of double checking and trying to be consistent, or if that was just something where they actually had a reason.
I think it's just it didn't fit the story. I think it's because sometimes in Hollywood they did just because, and nobody will catch it. It's kind of like I don't know if you noticed this. I didn't catch it either, strange enough, until I saw a video on it. But Karate Kid, right? Mr. Miyagi has a different origin in Karate Kid too.
I'll have to take your word. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched it.
Well, in Karate Kid #1, he apparently served in the United States military, even though he clearly wasn't born there, right? And in Karate Kid Part 2, he was from Okinawa.
Well, either he's a liar or
right. Yeah, that was the reasoning being presented in the video I watched, but or
the universe rewrote itself.
Who knows? But it's kind of so there's this massive continuity gaffe, right? So we don't know how much time passed. The kid couldn't just been a one-off. But then, okay, so we got that. The other thing, now we have the main villain is the screenslaver, right, who's using mind control. And there's this really cool scene where Elastigirl have this tracking device that leads to where the hideout is. Spoilers, it was all a setup. But you have the sequence, because in the movie, they are attempting to repeal the Registration Act, whatever, for superheroes to make them illegal, right? And so the plan is to have the superheroes wear body cams and show both sides of the story, so you can see them being super. Because right now the media is totally spinning it against them. And so like they go off, even though at the beginning of the movie they save City Hall, blah blah. Underminer gets away, but they stop most of the destruction, and they get blamed for it,
Right.
right? Because it was insured. Now, the body cam that Elastigirl is wearing is being monitored by the screenslaver somehow. And when you see, because like we are watching ourselves as we're recording this video right now, and the video is flipped, it's reversed. Okay, so like if it was being done correctly, like the way the people are going to see it when they actually watch this video later is we are going to be where we are for us, but we're watching ourselves reversed, right? Which means it's a direct feed. Now, when you see the scene where you've got, this is the part that actually for Elastigirl where she goes ding ding, I just figured it out, and she's got this sequence where she's looking at her body cam and looking like they've got screenslaver. There's a screen behind him, big hand, behind him that shows what her body cam is doing.
Right.
It should be reversed, but but here he is at this angle, and the one in the body cam is at the same angle, but it should be the other way. And I think what happened was that it was one of those sequences where they probably flipped it reverse, because the average movie going viewer probably isn't going to catch that detail. And so what it's going to be is something which it would be like, when she goes back and looks at it, I think it would feel weird, because people would be like, it would just become that would pull you out of the movie. Right? And so to have it be, it looks more seamless that way, unless you're me and I go, wait a minute, that feels weird. and I wonder how many people caught that, because I haven't seen anything online about it. But and so what you have, but see, here's the thing is, both of those two things don't detract from the film in any way.
Right.
And those are the only things I found. Almost a flawless film.
Yeah.
Did you happen to catch the body count in the movie?
Yeah. Like you've made mention before, is
0.
0. So, like, now the only body count that does kind of come up is because of a flashback.
Right, but that's a gimme.
Right.
That one doesn't count.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of that level of.
It's the origin story. Somebody always has.
Me and you were kind of talking about, like, as number one went.
Oh my god!
Like,
I lost count.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are some like origin stories and flashbacks that happen within the first one.
Yeah.
Of
No
people
capes.
dying. Yeah, and hitting that on home.
Well,
But it was like definitely like within the fight towards the end of the first film, that the bodies definitely hit the floor.
yeah, because so like they have all those flashbacks. People died, and you saw Gazer Beam and all that, and it's just okay. Well, wow, but okay, but then you have this part where they have the James Bond-esque supervillain minions, right? And Mr. Incredible takes the travel thing and throws it, and takes the dude out, right? And that was the point where it's like, whoa, what are we watching now? Because it's like, okay, no capes, haha, funny. You can let that one get past. Gazer Beam's dead. Well, it's plot. That's cool. Okay, but then it's like, you've got, which is interesting that they tied in the fact that the origin story. They don't really say it, but the origin story, in this movie for the villain happened because Gazer Beam was dead by that point, having been murdered, right? And that's why Gazer Beam didn't respond. Which I thought that was an interesting detail, because it would have had to have been, because Gazer Beam was all skeletal. He could have been there a while. That had to be why, and that's connected together so well. But that's one of the details I liked. They thought about that at least. But it's like Mr. Incredible takes out the dude. Okay, well maybe he's probably dead, but they don't show it. So it's like, okay, that's cool. And then they do a couple more times, and then it comes to Dash. And you've got him being chased by all the hovercrafts, and he's like dodging. Boom! Guy blew up. Guy dead. And he does it again and again. And then there's a part where he stops moving and he sinks.
Yeah.
And then they go smash, and it's like the kid's a freaking mass murderer. And it's like, because they were totally doing a send up to the speeder bike chase from Jedi. But it's just, I couldn't keep up with the number of deaths in the movie at that point. They, like, so many people were getting killed, and it was very well hidden. I don't think most movie watchers saw it, but I remember watching it the first time going, holy shit. And I think that, you know, it probably got like something that they were able to slide past. But then it was Disney wasn't going to let that happen again. Right. So I think there was probably an order from on high. It's like no, you know, no killing in this movie, except the Disney death.
Right.
You know, in the flashback. But that was, you know, that was something. And then, you know, like nobody dies in this one. There's lots of times when you think they will.
Yeah.
But nobody does. No, this is good stuff. Okay, so I've been rattling on about the things I saw. What about you?
Let's see where to go from here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's kind of go break it down. So, story-wise, I definitely found it quite interesting and one of the reasons why I kind of think of it as a very 1950s, 1960s is, so Elastigirl is very much kind of reminds me of that kind of women coming into the workforce and kind of Mr. Incredible, his interactions of basically seeing his wife basically become the breadwinner.
This is basically Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
As a superhero movie.
And I mean, that's kind of like part of my thing of like why I kind of feel when I say not only art design wise, but it's like part of the feel of like cultural wise, because like during part of their conversations between husband and wife, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I'm the superhero. I'm the breadwinner.
Well,
and
he's accustomed to do it to
right. And I get that, but I mean that also kind of goes within part of that time period too, of like urban Americana of, you know, where the man goes works at the desk job and like, you know, brings home bacon, blah blah blah.
Speaking of missed opportunities, why didn't they get Michael Keaton in this movie? It's like he should have had a part.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. But it's like I really liked the way that she developed more as a character, definitely within especially the second film. It felt like she got like a bigger role and really got to like shine as like, you know, showing not only her super abilities but also her intellect.
Well,
like how to utilize her body to basically, so she's given a bike and I thought it was really amazing of like, you know, being able to figure
split and works with her stretching.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought that was a really brilliant like way to incorporate like once again like how this world has super tech, you know, along with super beings.
You know what I noticed actually, one of the things that stuck out for me in the movie, because so in the first movie, Mr. Incredible, he's basically a middle-aged man, right? And he's got a little bit of gut. He's still the super, you know,
right,
the Ben Grimm archetype, but he basically spends a couple of months working out, lifting trains, whatever, and getting himself back in shape, right? Yeah. Now, Elastigirl never did that. She was still the housewife. You know, you can physically tell the difference between her as a young superhero, heroine, whatever, and then her as a mom, who's had the baby fat and all that stuff, right? Because she definitely looks like a woman who just had Jack, you know. Probably was hitting the gym, but I mean, she's still, you know, she looks like she's got kids, right? So she goes back to being a superhero. Now, we know that she did fine because she's still a superhero, right? And she spent years, she knows what to do. And I think she benefits from having a body that, since it can shapeshift so well, like how could it not be limber? You know, it's like her out of shape and her being in shape. I don't think there's a vast difference between the two. It's like she doesn't have to work out to be super. But
I mean, it's like her character design. She definitely has that of a woman that, like you were saying, that has had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Like she almost has that kind of mom gene kind of look.
Yeah, exactly.
To quote part of like SNL, Saturday Night Live.
But the thing for me though is that Mr. Incredible clearly had practice. He was back in the game, right? Yeah. And she wasn't, except at the end of the movie. And then, you know, she's basically had two super encounters, and that's it. And then they put her back on the street, and she's essentially as good as she was in her prime. And I thought that was interesting that she just got back on the bike, literally, and hadn't driven a motorcycle since long before she was married, and is out there cruising that bike
Well,
on girders, driving
I did
on.
like the fact of like when she initially got the bike, she was struggling with it, and
Yeah.
it definitely felt like we didn't see like kind of this montage that was happening before in the movie. There felt like a little bit of time went by, and then okay, now we're going to put you onto the street, and
I think it might have been 24, maybe 48 hours.
yeah,
Like she's the I mean, yeah, I mean there probably was some acclimation time, but the reality is that she battled against syndrome, then she battled against um, the Underminer, and then she was back being a professional superhero, and like she had no like there was no practice point for her. She was just like I'm this is what I'm doing, you know. So that was interesting. I'm not complaining. I don't think it was necessarily a plot hole.
yeah.
But it's just one of those interesting little things you notice. It's like, huh.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, the real question comes up is like, what is the timeline within this world? And
Well, I think the issue is a superhero's a superhero.
yeah,
You know.
no, I get it. Kind of that
Yeah.
level of once you learn a skill, part of your muscle memory will
Yeah. Yeah.
continue with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like when you ride a bike, you know how to keep yourself
Yep.
sturdy enough, and then
Yeah. Well,
years later you can get back on it.
we're at about the half-hour mark now.
Yeah.
So I think we should wrap this one up. I'm going to give this a five. Think this is a 5-star movie. I really liked it. I recommend this movie. I'm definitely going to buy the DVD. How many flaming incredible force signals are you going to give it?
I'll give it 20. So that's
Okay.
basically one for each of the characters. So that's 4 20s.
Right on. Oh. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, you're a riot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, there we are. Check out the movie, everybody.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.